When you take off the drape, after you've secured all, reconfirmed all of your notches and your markings, you want to clean up each of the pattern pieces as we do with everything that we drape. And the thing to be very wary of in this particular case is to not get rid of shaping that is actually causing fit. When you have horizontal or diagonal seams, a lot of times you'll end up with really unusually shaped pattern pieces, which often we're encouraged to clean up, flatten out, smooth, square, that type of thing. But when you're working with something like this that has diagonal seams and or horizontal seams, you'll often have a curve. You can see an example right here. You can see this curves. You would not want to straighten that out, even though visually on the final garment it looks straight to the viewer. It has to have a curve in order to fit around the human body. So what you want to do when you're cleaning these up is to blend as best you can, keeping the integrity of the shapes that are there. Okay? So you'll play with your curve and line it up with as many of the markings that you can. And if there's a few that fall in and out, I mean, you don't want any little short humps and bumps, but there are going to be a lot of curves on this kind of thing. So you need to move it around so that you can maintain that shape that you've actually draped. You've got to trust what you draped. If you liked the fit, if you liked the look on the form, then you want to maintain that. So you can see how this has a much sharper curve down here on the lower edge. But you want to draw lines that blend as many of these markings as possible, and don't try to flatten or straighten or otherwise redesign the style. So by flipping and moving your curve, you can usually get a relatively nice, smooth, continuous line. And like this is a good example. You can see this has a sharp curve here, and this has a very soft, long curve, and the waistline comes out here and in here. But I've followed my markings as much as I could and made a nice smooth line so that when I sew it up, it'll have a nice smooth line. So after you do that, you're going to be able to transfer it to a pattern, and your final pattern for this design of the exterior bodice, there's lots of parts to this, but the exterior bodice pattern is going to look like this. Here's my center front peplum. Front midriff, my back peplum. This goes right here, and you can see that the pattern pieces are a little unusual, but it's because of these curves. You can see they're almost dart-like shapes, these curves and angles, that I'm actually ended up with the fit that I got. Okay. So this is what the pattern pieces look like for this. And then when you sew it together, you have your over bodice with the seams crossing intersecting, meeting at the center front, V here, V here, and at my center back where the zipper is going to be, that V is right on the 3/4, so I can set my zipper and I'll have 2 kissing points right at the waist. And notice the wearing ease in the bottom of the garment and in the bust area, so that you're not going to see if this is super tight, you're going to see these ridges of the boning, which is not desirable in your final garment.